been explained that become a disciple of Buddha, one must believe in the three treasures, the Buddha, the Dharma and the Sangha. To become a lay follower, one must have a unshakable faith in Buddha, must believe in his teachings, Dharma, study and put precepts into practice, and must cherish the brotherhood Sangha. Lay followers should follow the five precepts: not to kill, not to steal, not to commit adultery, not to lie or deceive, and not to use intoxicants. Lay followers should not only believe in the three treasures and keep the precepts by themselves, but also they should, as far as they are able, help others observe them, especially their relatives and friends, trying to awaken in them. Trying to awaken in them an unshakable faith in the Buddha, the Dharma and the Sangha, so that they too may share in Buddha's compassion. Lay followers should always remember that the reason they believe in the three treasures and keep the precepts is to enable themselves ultimately to attain enlightenment. And for that reason they should, though living in the world of desires, avoid becoming attached to such desires. Lay followers should always keep in mind that sooner or later they will be obliged to part with their parents and family, and pass away from this life of birth and death. Therefore, they should not become attached to things of this life, but should set their minds on the world of enlightenment, wherein nothing passes away. If lay followers want to awaken an earnest and undisturbed faith in the Buddha's teaching, they should realize within their mind a quiet and undisturbed happiness that will shine out on all their surroundings and will reflect back to them. This mind of faith is pure and gentle, always patient and enduring, never arguing, never causing suffering to others, but always pondering the three treasures, the Buddha, the Dharma and the Sangha. Thus happiness spontaneously rising in their minds, and the light for enlightenment can be found everywhere. Since they are resting in the bosom of Buddha by faith, they are kept far from having a selfish mind, from attachment to their possessions, and therefore they have no fear in their daily life or dread of being criticized. They will have no fear about their future death, since they believe in the birth in Buddha's land. Since they have faith in the truth and the holiness of the teachings, they can express their thoughts freely and without fear. Since their minds are filled with compassion for all people, they will make no distinction among them, but will treat them all alike. And since their minds are free from likes and dislikes, it will be pure and equitable and happy for them to do any good deed. Whether they live in adversity or in prosperity, it will make no difference to the increase of their faith. If they cherish humility, if they respect the Buddha's teaching, if they are consistent in speech and action, if they are guided by wisdom, if their mind is as immovable as a mountain, then they will make steady progress on the path to enlightenment. And though they are forced to live in a difficult situation and among people of impure minds, if they cherish faith in Buddha, they can ever lead them toward better deeds. Therefore, one should first have the wish of hearing the Buddha's teaching. If anyone should tell him that it would be necessary for him to go through fire to gain enlightenment, then he should be willing to pass through such a fire. there is satisfaction in hearing the Buddha's name. That is worth passing through a world filling with fires. If one wishes to follow the Buddha's teaching, one must not be egoistic or self-willed, but should cherish feelings of goodwill toward all alike. One should respect those who are worthy of respect. One should serve those who are worthy of service, and treat everyone with uniform kindness. Thus, lay followers are to train their own minds first, and not be disturbed by actions of others. In this manner, they are to receive the Buddha's teaching and put into practice, not envying others, not being influenced by others, and not considering other ways. Those who do not believe in the Buddha's teaching have a narrow vision and, consequently, a disturbed mind. But those who believe in the Buddha's teaching and believe that there is a great wisdom and a great compassion embracing everything, and in that faith they are undisturbed by trifles. Those who hear and receive the Buddha's teaching know that their lives are transient and that their bodies are merely the aggregation of sufferings and the source of all evils, and so they do not become attached to them. At the same time, they do not neglect to take a good care of their bodies, not because they wish to enjoy the psychical pleasures of the body, but because the body is temporarily necessary for the attainment of wisdom and for their mission of explaining the path to others. If they do not take good care of their bodies, they cannot live long. If they do not live long, they cannot practice the teaching personally or transmit it to others. If a man wishes to cross a river, he is very careful of his raft. If he has a long journey to make, he takes good care of his horse. So, if a man seeks to attain enlightenment, he must take good care of his body. The disciples of Buddha must wear clothes to protect the body from extremes of heat and cold, and to cover its private parts, and should not wear it for decoration. They must eat food to nourish the body so that they may hear and receive and explain the teachings, but they should not eat for mere enjoyment. They must live in the house of enlightenment to be protected from the thieves of worldly passions and from the storms of evil teaching. And they should use the house for its real purpose and not for display or the concealment of selfish practices. Thus, one should value things and use them solely in their relation to enlightenment and the teaching. He shouldn't not possess them or become attached to them for selfish reasons, but only as they serve a useful purpose in carrying the teaching to others. Therefore, his mind should always dwell on the teaching even when he is living with his family. He should take care for them with a wise and sympathetic mind, seeking various means to awaken faith in their minds. 5. Lay members of the Buddha Sangha should study the following lessons every day: how to serve their parents, how to live with their wives and children, how to control themselves, and how to serve Buddha. To best serve their parents, they must learn to practice kindness towards all animate life. To live happily with their wives and children, they must keep away from lust and thoughts of selfish comfort. While hearing the music of the family life, they must not forget the sweet music of teaching. And while living in the shelter of the home, they should often seek the safe shelter of Zen practice, where wise men find refuge from all impurity and all disturbance. When laymen are given offerings, they should remove all greed from their hearts. When they are in the midst of crowds, their mind should be in the company of wise men. When they face misfortune, they should keep their minds tranquil and free from hindrances. When they take refuge in the Buddha, they should seek his wisdom. When they take refuge in the Dharma, they should seek its truth, which is like a great ocean of wisdom. When they take refuge in the Sangha, they should seek its peaceful fellowship, unobstructed by selfish interest. When they wear clothes, they must not forget to put on also the garment of goodness and humility. When they want to relieve themselves, they must wish to discharge all greed, anger, and foolishness from their minds. When they are tolling on an uphill road, they should think of it as a road to enlightenment that will carry them beyond the world of delusion. When they are following an easy road, they should take advantage of its easier conditions to make greater progress towards Buddhahood. When they see a bridge, they must wish to construct the bridge of the teaching to let people cross. When they meet a sorrowful man, they should lament the bitterness of this ever-changing world. When they see a greedy man, they should have a great longing to keep free from the illusions of this life and to attain the true riches of enlightenment. When they see savory food, they must be on guard. When they see distasteful food, they should wish that greed might never return. During the intense heat of the summer, they must wish to be away from the heat of worldly desires and gain the fresh coolingness of enlightenment. During the unbearable cold of winter, they must think of the warmth of Buddha's great compassion. When they recite the sacred scriptures, they should be determined not to forget them and resolve to put their teaching into practice. When they think of Buddha, they should cherish a deep wish to have eyes like Buddha. As they fall asleep at night, they should wish that their body, speech, and mind might be purified and refreshed. When they awake in the morning, their first wish should be that during the day their minds might be clear to understand all things. 6. Those who follow the teaching of Buddha, because they understand that everything is characterized by non-substantiality, do not treat lightly the things that enter into a man's life, but they receive them for what they are and then try to make them fit tools for enlightenment. They must not think that this world is meaningless and filled with confusion, while the world of enlightenment is full of meaning and peace. Rather, they should taste the way of enlightenment in all the affairs of this world. If a man looks upon the world with defiled eyes, dimmed by ignorance, he will see it filled with error. But if he looks upon it with clear wisdom, he will see it as the world of enlightenment, which it is. The fact is there is only one world, not two worlds, one meaningless and the other full of meaning, or one good and the other bad. People only think there are two worlds due to their discriminating faculty. If they could rid themselves of these discriminations and keep their minds pure with light of wisdom, then they would see only one world in which everything is meaningful. 7. Those who believe in the Buddha's taste, this universal purity of oneness in everything, and that the mind they feel compassion for all and have a humble attitude to serve everyone. Therefore, they should cleanse their minds of all pride and cherish humility, courtesy, and service. Their mind should be like the fruitful earth that nourishes everything without partiality, that serves without complaint, that endures patiently, that is always jealous, that finds its highest joy in serving all poor people by planting in their minds the seeds of the Buddha's teaching. Thus, the mind that has compassion of poor people becomes a mother to all people, honors all people, looks upon all as personal friends, and respects them as parents. Therefore, though thousands of people may have hard feelings and cherish ill will toward Buddhists, lay followers, they can do no harm, for such harm is like a drop of poison in the water of a great ocean. 8. A lay follower will enjoy his happiness by habits of recollection, reflection, and thanksgiving. He will come to realize that his fate is Buddha's compassion itself and that it has been bestowed upon him by Buddha. There are no seeds of fate in the mud of worldly passions, but because of Buddha's compassion, the seeds of fate may be sown there, and they will purify the mind until it has faith to believe in Buddha. As been said, the fragrant Chandara tree cannot grow in the forest of Aranda trees. In a like manner, the seeds of faith in Buddha cannot be in the bosom of delusion. But actually the flower of joy is blooming there. So we must conclude that while its blossoms are in the bosom of delusion, its roots are elsewhere. Namely, its roots are in the bosom of Buddha. If a lay follower becomes ego-centered, he will become jealous, envious, hateful, and harmful, because his mind has become defiled with greed, anger, and foolishness. But if he returns to Buddha, he will accomplish even a greater service for Buddha, as mentioned above. It is indeed beyond any experience. That was it.
Thank you, Mark. It was a long read today. Thank you for
Yeah.
with it. I think it was like 10, 12 pages. All right. So, can you, all of you, hear me fine?
Yes.
Okay.
I put your
All right.
volume up to 150.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Sometimes I need to speak a little bit softer for meditation and things like that, so it's better if I don't yell. All right, so today we're talking about the lay followers, and well, to begin with, what is the lay follower? I guess it is anybody that studies Buddhism that is not actually a monk or part of an official body, right? So you decide that it's going to be part of your routine of who you are, your ideals, and how you want to live. And so, if you don't follow, you don't follow. I mean, you may pick a book once in a while and not do anything about it. But if you decide that you want to be a good Buddhist, if you will, we heard the guidelines today. However, as far as I'm concerned, to follow is quite dumb. I think this is one reason we have so much trouble with gurus and religious leaders and Orthodox religion. People follow blindly, and that won't be my recommendation to you guys today. That we did the same. Because I believe that there is a way to live Buddhism intelligently. And intelligence for me is creativity. Um, a long while ago, we probably had this discussion where I was saying that intelligence is this faculty that allows us to face new circumstances in new ways. It's not about applying a recipe or answering always the same answer to different questions, right? It is about facing something new, carefully considering it, and because we know different aspects of the world, because we know ourselves, we can find or craft an appropriate response. Just like a chimpanzee is able to build a tool to fish for ants or to gather fruits, we use our intelligence and create that appropriate response. So, people that follow Buddhism blindly, I see them in forums on the web every day. They ask, what is the position of Buddhism on vegetarianism? What is the position of Buddhism on abortion? What does Buddhism think of homosexuality? Or, any other things that some religious movements condemn and some others praise. And the answer is pretty much always the same. If you just stop and think about it, and you see no reason to reject whatever it is that you are wondering if Buddhism is accepting it or not, well, Buddhism is accepting it. That's not how that works. Like if it's not somebody doing like evil on purpose and trying to wreak havoc on the world, Buddhism doesn't have any problem with anything. Asking what the position of Buddhism is like going back to those orthodox views of like, should women vote? And then, well, Buddha said they shouldn't. Oh, right. And why is that true? Well, because Buddha said it. And who said that Buddha said, and who said that when Buddha spoke, it is always true? Well, Buddha said so, or the Bible said so, The Bible has those sorts of circular reference where it's true because it's in the Bible, but who put it in the Bible? Well, the Bible people. And then it becomes true. So let's try and use a little bit more intelligence than just applying thousands of year old formula. Let's try to use our own sensibility. For example, the Buddhist precepts, right? Why should we not kill? What if Buddhism said it is all right to kill? Like, would you do it? Let's say for a period of 100 years old in Buddhism, they had to defend against the invader, and so they put a little place in there, and they said it is all right to kill if you really need to. Well, doesn't mean you should go around killing people on a daily basis, right? Even if it was there saying it's all right. So the precepts that say you shouldn't kill, you shouldn't steal, you shouldn't sexual misconduct, or lie and deceive, or intoxicate yourself. Do you really, really need the book to tell you that? Why these things could cause problems? Right? I hope most of us don't. Because somehow that's the reason why we have laws. It's when we stop looking profoundly at what surrounds us and we lose touch a little bit with our own intelligence and our own creativity that we start needing laws, that we start hurting others without necessarily wanting to. So I'm saying, do not follow. And another reason for that is that following is lazy. There's a huge difference between learning to cook and following recipes. Right? If you're following a recipe, you get a list of ingredients and you go and you buy them, and then somebody wrote how you should measure everything, and you follow those steps, and you put that in a big pot and you mix it, you put it in the oven, and miracle, the cake comes out, right? But did you really understand like the chemical reaction? Why did you really understand why you use the sugar and you use the flour and you use the milk, and do you understand the role of each of these ingredients? Do you realize that the oil and the butter are creating the moisture in the cake? Do you realize that the way that you whisk it adds air and makes it a little bit foamy? Did you notice? Were you aware while you were cooking that recipe of the processes at play, so that you truly learned from it, or did you just apply a recipe mindlessly? In the same way, if you assemble a piece of furniture, are you just following the plan, the flour, and putting it together the way it's written, or could you yourself decide that this corner needs this other part, so it must be assembled in the same way? Are you critical about what's going on? And the minute that you are is the minute that you turn into a chef, right? You can create your own sort of cakes. You can add a little bit of orange flavor in there and a little bit of jam, and do something awesome. You can change the icing. You can decorate it differently because you have understood the entire principle and you made it yours. In the same way, a child must follow. In the same way, a child must begin with recipe and working under the supervision of his parents. But eventually, the child must sort of outgrow them and prepare to fend for itself. So he must learn through these recipes the true essence of cooking, so that he can feed himself. Or he must take note of these recipes somewhere if he doesn't want to go the intelligent way, or if he likes the recipes the way that they are, he takes note of them and make them his in that way. So I guess we all begin sort of children of Buddhas on this path. Actually, in religions all around the world, the priests tend to call you my child, right? And that's probably the reason why, is that it's sort of restarting. In those spiritual paths, you sort of need to forget who you were, and you are sort of reborn and learning again how to govern yourself in the world. But you must not remain a child forever, right? And this weird, creepy priest must not remain your father forever either. So, the true path of Buddhism, and the true path of spirituality and religion, is one that leads to your full maturity. Maturity, I mean, intellectual maturity, emotional maturity, physical maturity, and spiritual. And this is very, very, very important. I was reading a quote yesterday. I forgot exactly how it was phrased, but basically it was saying, some people go to teachers because they are after enlightenment. They want to awake. And some people go to teachers just because they want to sleep longer. Right? So it's important to make a decision there that our goal is to awake. Our goal is to transform, mature, and live in a way that is more harmonious. So we get pointers in Buddhism and other traditions as to what is sort of the ideal maturity or the ideal wisdom for mankind. And oftentimes it goes with the feminine principle, which is about emotions and sensitivity. And to that alone, they often refer to as the wisdom. So, feminine principle, they would say, is wise. And then there is the masculine principle, which is more about the intellect and the technical knowledge. And this one, at least in Tibetan Buddhism, they call the skillful means, which I think is sort of appropriate, right? I see it sort of going to see your car mechanics. He has the skillful means to fix a car. So that's sort of the main principle. The hunters and the guys who can take things apart and put it. It's very stereotypical, but I guess it's the energy that's been associated with male energy for a long time, while the female energy is more like emotional in nature. But the important lesson here is that when you merge the feminine principle with the masculine principle, when you bring the skillful means together with the wisdom, or meaning when you bring your intelligence together with your sensitivity, then maturity, true wisdom is born. And something extraordinary happens is that authority is not required anymore. External authority is not required anymore, because you are able to sense the world, you are able to feel the world, and you are able to find creative solutions for every new situation that pops up in front of you. Right? How wiser can you be? Isn't that paramount there? When you are able to take the millions of little situations in the world, to look at them, to take them in, and to craft an appropriate response. But we know that this is not what we do. Right? We have a lot of automatic responses. For example, there are things I'm sure that you have decided you would not eat 15 years ago, and you're still not eating them. Right? So whenever you are offered it, you are not really considering it. You're not making more questions about it. You're just saying no because you always said no. And it's the same thing for new activities or new partners or new anything in life. We have crafted maybe an intelligent response back then, but we've been using it very unintelligently since then. We not only are followers of the Buddha or of Jesus or of Muhammad, we are following our own mythology, our own lives that we have crafted a long time ago. And we are keeping ourselves in that little tiny box. And that's completely unnecessary. When you are sensitive and intelligent and choose to make that your way of life, you sort of see what is really needed, right? So you don't focus on the accessory, you don't focus on the fashion, you don't kill a fly with a bazooka. You are able to offer a response that measures appropriately with the circumstances. An appropriate response is what it is. So, can you see how it also keeps you simple? And at the same time, it allows you to embrace change and detachment, because you don't expect to have learned all the answers at any given time. You know that you have to go through the effort of being intelligent and sensitive at times. And it is an effort, right? It requires a lot of attention and devotion, but hopefully at some point it becomes second nature as well. And then you start living beautifully, where you're not taking more than necessary, you're giving back what's necessary as well. And so, in a way, you start moving into that dance that I always refer to. If you ever took dance lessons, for us men, they teach us how to lead the dance, because traditionally that's how it's been. They teach us a few things, like most dances will start with your left foot, going forward, and that means that the woman has to go backward with her right foot. But they also teach you that if you pull a little bit on the shoulder, it will indicate to the woman that she should come towards you. If you push on her hand, well, then on her opposite hand, well, it will teach you that she needs to turn. And basically, dancing, as you take those lessons, becomes a game where one of the partner gives signals to the other, and the other is attentive at those signals and moving accordingly. Okay? Because you don't follow a choreography when you go and do ballroom dance with your partner. You're not giving a show. You're just just dancing for enjoyment. So there is that level of spontaneity there where the man can send you turning or bring you closer or push you a little back. And, well, to learn to do that with the world is to follow the Buddha. To truly follow the Buddha means to follow the world as if it was guiding you into a dance. So if you see that the world is pushing you back, take a step back. If the world is bringing you closer, come closer. If it's sending you into whirls and, making you turn. There's nothing to it. If you resist, then you will get a big world slap in your face and it will be painful. Because the world has a big hand to lead you with. So it's much better to just anticipate and feel and move with it and make it something beautiful and enjoyable. So this is what it means to follow. The true meaning of following the world and the true meaning of following the Buddha is this. Because see all the precepts and see everything that is being taught in Buddhism that you have learned so far, and you will see that all that applies in the dance. You cannot be attached to going left if the world is pushing you right. You cannot resist that. You cannot become angry with the world, otherwise the dance is over. You cannot be fearful either. And you must be aware that if you decide to go contrary to the dance, there will be karma created. There will be consequences. The dance will lose its harmony and something else will happen afterwards. So really, to be able to dance with life, you have to apply everything that the Buddha has ever thought. And then something beautiful happens because you choose to dance, you exert your own freedom. You exert an extreme form of freedom, actually, where you are not bound by a law. You are not bound by steps. You can be totally creative and totally sensitive at all times. And that sensitivity allows you to coexist harmoniously with everything. Okay? So imagine that you are utterly free and at the same time utterly harmonious. Isn't that sort of going back to that phrase that says that the limits of your freedom are determined by where the freedom of the other starts? I don't know what's the correct phrasing in English. Does somebody know that little phrase? No? I know it in French.
I know it. I don't know how it actually goes, but I know what you're talking about.
All right. So that sort of starts happening naturally. If you're sensitive, then you perceive what could throw the other off balance. Right? If you did you fall asleep, Jarod?
I guess he did.
That is fine.
It's so relaxing.
Tommy is still full from the barbecue.
I'm glad to see that this is a stimulating lesson.
Definitely.
We should serve coffee in here.
And it's on video.
So, yeah. Once you are able to live like that, and express your freedom while doing it in a very harmonious fashion, there's no suffering involved anymore. If you're able to dance with the entire world, then serving your wife and children and your parents and even your neighbors, that's nothing. And then I would say, instead of blindly following, let's follow intelligently and let us focus on serving instead. If we are able to, I think, I don't know what to do about Jarod though.
It's okay. You can individually mute him if you want.
Yeah, alright. Can you guys still hear well anyway?
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm muted.
Okay, so that's all right.
We can hear you perfectly.
So that's the thing. Try and serve instead of following. Try and serve the world. I also probably mentioned that in another session, but we have this idea as we grow up that we sort of need to serve ourselves and serve our family, but that's being very small, you know. If you want to really make a difference in the world, consider that everyone is part of your family. Really get that philosophy of brotherhood in you, and here in the Sangha or elsewhere where you go, think of it as we're all brothers and sisters, and we're all suffering, and we're all needing somebody with goodwill around that gives us a chance sometimes, right? And those that we treat right, they will probably treat us right in return. So that is how we will get into a good, harmonious planet. So, before I conclude about following, is that clear actually? Are there any questions about that, or do you wonder anything about the precepts or what it means to be a Sangha member or a lay follower? Okay.
There was something about jealousy, but
Just be careful. It's like a lesson.
About jealousy. In
it
the
was
text,
it was a really weird piece of text that I needed to. I'm searching for it.
I
You can hit Control F and that'll find it faster. Control F and then you type in jealousy.
A little hesitating a bit, and I think that's the paragraph that is on page 210, and it goes by, therefore they should cleanse their minds of all pride and cherish humility, courtesy, and service. Their minds should be like the fruitful earth that nourishes everything without partiality, that serves without complaint, that endures patiently, that is always, and then there it says zealous, and you said jealous while you were reading.
Oh, yeah, zealous. Oh, that's something else.
Yeah, so basically zealous meaning that you work hard at it, that you don't allow your dedication to rest because you think it's so important that you put in the extra effort, right? So that's
Okay.
Of course, a recommendation to always be jealous wouldn't be as good, I guess.
No, I thought so. I thought I'm doing something wrong. But thank you.
Yeah, pleasure.
It doesn't help at all.
Trick
I tell you by
yourself
experience.
All right. And so, okay, so that's it about following. I just wanted to talk very briefly about leading, because we are taught that leadership is such a great quality to have, right? Our entire economic system is telling you, or sort of making it look good, that if you're, become a supervisor in a bus, or your own, or the owner of, I don't know, an empire, like this is better. But to lead others, if it's not done well, is equally damaging as following blindly. For example, I make a big distinction between authority and leadership. So authority will demand that you follow blindly, for example, based on status. Authority will refuse to give any explanation. It will just say, well, it's the law, or it's in the Bible, or it's the Buddha said it that way, right? Whenever you have that sort of obey because you have to, you're in the realm of authority much more than you are in the process of leadership. So if you're trying to lead others with authority, you're basically keeping them in the realm of obeying blindly. You are not encouraging intelligence. You are not encouraging an inquisitive mind. You are not encouraging sensitivity. On the contrary, authority desensitizes, right? just like in the army, or the army leads with authority. You know, move there because I said so. No time for explanations. It's war, right? You don't like it? Well, I don't care. Do it anyway. So that's a very good example of leading with authority. The army does it all the time. You also find it in, I'd say, small jobs with small leaders and small mindsets. I'm trying not to say like that this is bad. It's just the vision that they have at this moment. So small minds tend to lead with authority. Leadership. I always liked to relate leadership to three qualities, three verbs that I formulate as I can, I care, and I dare. So basically, leadership is about helping people develop the technical knowledge, the technical proficiency, the capability to do things. But it's also doing it in a caring way, in a loving way, in a way that teaches them with the words that they understand at the speed that they can handle, in a way that they can relate to. And the idea is to sort of not hesitating to step out of the more common ways or classical ways of doing things. And so leadership is about getting someone to understand, about helping someone, being sensitive, and in the same way understanding them and being sensitive to them. I talk about that because in the text there was a passage that made me think, like they were encouraging that you annoy the heck out of everybody with Buddhism and tell them, hey, get into the Buddha Dharma Sangha. And I think that it deserves more explanation. That's not what you're expected to do. But if you see someone that is suffering, because, for example, they are using all the time, or they are gambling all the time, and you are sensitive to what they're going through, and you can be intelligent and find the right moment and the right words, then of course you should help them. You don't even have to call it Buddhism. You don't have to call it anything. Just call it helping and do it. Right? And at some point, if they say, well, where did you get all that wisdom? How come, you're younger than me, or you're less experienced than me, or whatever? How come you're so wise? Where did you learn that? Then you can maybe open up and tell them a little bit if they're interested. But other than that, it's not useful. What we want is happy people that are peaceful and harmonious, because that way, that's what they perpetuate. They perpetuate peace. That they do it in the name of the Buddha, of the Sangha, of the Dharma, or Hinduism, or Zoroaster, really does not matter. I like how they say that, Christ was not a Christian, and so Buddha was not a Buddhist either. These guys had nobody to follow, and they had to follow their heart. And that's how you become a Buddha, by following yours and leading with yours. So here I make a point always to tell you, don't follow a teacher blindly, don't follow a guru, question everything, test everything for yourself, see if it makes sense for you, and then you know if you want to embrace. As we were saying earlier, a child must follow. Well, if it's just the beginning, you may try to accept some notions and test them out, but do not make that your default mode of operation. And then there is this thing that, if you give fish for a man, you feed him for a day, but if you teach him to fish, you feed him for his life. So that should be our philosophy there. I know that some people get into Buddhism and they learn all of those great tools, but they're motivated by ego a little bit, and so what they want is a following. They They want to grow a following. They're not necessarily interested in making people around them autonomous because they would lose that following. I say it's absolutely the contrary that we need to do, and that if you manage to have a lot of people around you that are autonomous, it's well deserved. It's a well deserved following, right? Because they don't have to be there. And I guess that's pretty much it that I wanted to say about lay followers today. Any questions or commentaries or something that's related to your week, perhaps? Alright.
I have a thing that happened 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
I have an upstairs neighbor, and he has come. I have tried to negotiate with him because I have sound. He makes too much noise, so I have. It's not fine. But I'm being nice for 2 years, and every time he comes back with more negativity and even threats. So now I have given up because the threats were so extreme that I'm now living at my parents for a few weeks, just to recuperate from it. So yeah, that's really bad. But yeah, I'm like I want to be I want to think like the Buddha, like everyone is worthy of love and everything, but he makes it so hard. And he is always doing the stuff that I don't know, that I'm not going to see. So I always do the good deeds and I get negative deeds back. So it's really hard to stay positive.
Right. That's from another tradition, but you probably heard the turn the other cheek principle, right? So if you were to, and maybe not the answer that you'd like to answer at this point, that you'd like to get at this point, but you know, if we were to ask the Buddha, what would he do in a situation like this? I think the Buddha would either say, he can do all the noise that he wants and I will make sure that it doesn't affect me. Or the Buddha would say, I'll go and move with my parents for a while. Like you did. Basically, you got out of the way, right? You got out of the way.
I'm going to move on my own. House prices are way too high right now.
Yeah. So it's something that you verbalize, right? You try to have an exchange with that person that is creating problems, and what I reckon is that they just don't understand and make it worse.
Yep, definitely.
And did you try with the police or something like that? Is it that extreme that it could justify involving?
I've been to the rent owner, to the rent company. So,
Okay.
but I need to ask my neighbors to also complain about it, so that they can go to the judge to kick him out.
Yeah.
So that's the next thing I'm going to do. But needed some time to think about it because it was quite a thing.
Yeah, you know, I lived at a place, and Julia here will remember that place. We went and lived in an apartment building because it was convenient in between two countries a few years ago. And this apartment building we had gotten out of convenience. It was not very well selected, and it was crazy. Just to give you an idea, on Christmas Eve, someone jumped through the patio door and cut himself all around with the window, and then jumped off the balcony, entered another neighbor's apartment, ran with a knife all across the hallway, put blood everywhere, started hitting on the doors and stuff like that. It looked like a crime scene for many weeks.
Wow.
And the upstairs neighbor liked to shoot machine gun in a game very loud up to 4 a.m. Every day. And to lock his girlfriend while yelling in a closet, apparently, on a regular basis. And they would drink in the stairs and have drugs in front. And we had our daughter was much younger back then. Anyway, it was crazy. Now
How
let's
do you
imagine
even get your sleep?
Yeah, and let's imagine that this is my situation we're dealing here. Do you think that creating a confrontation with these people would bring any positive outcome?
Maybe in the right way, but if they are accustomed to it, maybe not.
Yeah, so my take on that is that I'm dealing with somebody that is already sort of yelling and locking his girlfriend in a closet, and another one that's running around with knife. I really don't think that if we speak together, we will sort of be speaking on the same level or reaching an understanding on the same level. I'm not saying these are bad people. I'm just saying that for now, we don't live on the same planet. We don't have the same language priorities or anything. So if I speak to the knife guy, there's a good chance that his answer will come through a knife. If I speak to closet guy, his answer will probably go through a closet. None of which I like. So, for us, we sort of inquired a little bit with the landlord if other people were complaining. And I learned that this situation had lasted for a while. And I just basically requested to be liberated from my rent contract ahead of time because it was an unsavory situation for living. It was not adequate, especially not for our daughter, and so on. But that was the peaceful way out. I never confronted anybody. I never went to court with anybody. We've just decided that we needed to move somewhere more peaceful than this conflictive. Yes, Judy?
When I was studying naturopathy, I heard about cases where they used aromatherapy to change the whole environment in a building. They used ylang ylang as an essence that changed people from criminals to being friendly to each other. And another friend of mine does cleaning with sage. She uses the herbs to purify spaces. And maybe if you have the right attitude and you send them loving kindness, because that's what people who are aggressive need the most. I am sure that slowly things might change.
So you could become Ned Flanders living next to Homer Simpson, I guess is the recommendation here.
I've tried being nice, but he is just so paranoid. Everything that goes wrong in his life he blames on me, so I'm just stuck.
Well, that's the thing, of course, if you have that power over the person to pacify them and make them relax or create sort of a relaxing environment around them, sure, that might help. But after 20 years of The Simpsons, I have not seen Ned Flanders having much of an effect on Homer. So that happens as well. I mean, don't give up necessarily. What is the main thing that bothers you the most, Mark? What does he do that is the most terrible?
He is awake at night, and I think I have 2 or 3 days in the night from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. he does loud music, and I can't sleep even with my earpods in.
Right.
So,
you
and
see,
I really
you
need
made
my
that
sleep.
effort.
Is there
I made a
in your,
lot of effort.
do you get, because I don't know if this is, can you like call a noise complaint? Because like you call the cops and say there's a noise complaint, and they.
Yeah, I really need to do that.
Yeah, I
But
would do
now,
that every single time.
now I gave up being nice to him. So yeah, it's a really weird situation.
Yeah, that's probably what I would recommend as well. You know, first thing, next time that it happens, don't try to handle it on your own. File a noise complaint, and then twice or thrice, if you see that he doesn't understand or it just escalates, then move out. You know, there's no point in trying more than that. Yes, Julia.
There was also the saying, if the world is rough, you cannot cover it all in leather, but you can wear sandals.
Yeah, but he's wearing earplugs. Are they leather? Did you try leather
I can
earplugs?
say if one thing you can, I don't see, but it's a rental space. What you can do is they have this stuff called, it's called green glue. You put that on the ceiling, and then you put another layer of drywall. This is what your landlord should be doing, but I'm sure they won't. That can actually do quite a lot to help. You
Yeah.
can also do egg cartons for some reason. Sometimes can help with that kind of stuff. If you cork is really cheap. You do cork and then you wrap it in a cloth or something, and then you like nail it. But even then, you'd have to do a lot of it, and it would get expensive. So I mean, that's
Yeah,
what your
definitely
landlord
that.
should be doing. But,
And if I go out of my rent apartment, I need to change everything to normal. So
right.
Well, you know, good luck with
Actually,
that, Mars. That by no means that's an easy situation. Yes, Doc.
I was gonna say as well. Actually, there's a better solution to that, which you can do, which maybe might work, but don't do it all the time. Next time they start doing noise, just use intelligence and do something like that.
do something what?
Something like I'm about to do. Give me a second.
you like play noise back.
Something like that. Yeah, just give them a good listen.
No, I need to do that at 6 a.m. when he's just sleeping.
Yeah, exactly. And then they will understand how you feel. It's like how annoying that is. Well, that's what you're doing to me.
So.
But then I have a guy with a weapon on my front door, so I don't want that.
Yeah.
What country are you in?
I officially dismiss this advice.
Yeah, nah, just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I also did that. Yeah, okay.
So for the Buddhist answer, Mario, the way you could want to handle that is whatever annoyance is coming your way during the night or at any given time, practice with it. See how you can take the noise in and smile at it instead, or do something else. You see how you can adapt your routine. Really look at how you literally, you know, if it's loud music, see how you can dance with it. And it won't make it more convenient, but if your attitude changes about it, you might as well fall asleep. Give it a shot and see if that helps a little bit.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so let's do our. Unless somebody else wants to talk about a point, we can move to our second meditation session.
Yes, actually, I actually would like to. Could someone here make a quick recap of what's being talked at today? Since I going quite lately on this session, so I
Casper will
I've
make
I've
the
been
recording
recording. I've been
available shortly.
recording. Like
All right,
usual.
thank you.
All right.
Thank you, guys. Casper.
Shrek, I think I saw your hand as well.
Yeah, sure. I'm in a different but also sort of similar situation where I'm maybe not so similar, but that's okay. I'm kind of trying to get back on my feet after a big life change, and I've been trying to work with attachment and fear of what comes next because I've been kind of going through life in a very, knowing this is going to happen, then this is going to happen, then this is going to happen, and being fairly accurate in my estimation, working towards this goal, okay, and then now this, now this, now this. And I was, going step by step until, the rug just kind of was pulled under me. And I've been trying to practice with losing that attachment to, okay, the plan's not going to be perfect now, or the plan has to change a little bit, or, figuring something else out. And there's this kind of fear and hopelessness that keeps arising, and my practice is usually based around noting. So I'll note hopeless, or the hopeless feeling, or sadness, fear. And I will, oftentimes see it dissipate a little bit, and then it keeps arising and arising and arising, and it's made taking action really difficult. I'll stop there because I don't want to take up too much more time. But if you have anything to say about that, I guess.
Before we move on, I have something to say. Thinking more specifically, and the other teachers. From August 10th to from August 10 to August 13, I will not be able to assist any sessions. I am going to vacation to Quebec City. So you guys know. So
Right,
if I'm not here, it's okay. I'm not home.
All right. Well, Miss You Down, you can catch up with the recordings when you're back. And Shrek, to address your question there.
Yeah.
Control is at the center of your issue there. You describe your past behavior as somebody who is trying to forecast what the future holds and to keep like your life in check, moving from one milestone to another. And so let's start just with this part, because I believe you are tricking yourself there. In order not to experience forced grief and forced detachment, you are making yourself believe that the knowledge you have acquired in the past, your knowledge that relates to dead things, can actually relate and help you forecast the things that have not happened yet in the future. So obviously, we can get close, but the first thing I think is you need to recognize that this cannot be 100% accurate. And it will fail you, and it just did. Can we agree on that?
Oh, absolutely. And cognitively, I would understand, I can't predict the future, but it was, this was such a very sudden life change that I then realized, oh my gosh, I have no idea what to do now. And so I'm in this kind of state where I'm trying to get back on my feet and figure out, okay, well, what's the next step now? And that fear of, well, is any step going to be acceptable, and why should, but then,
So the rug was pulled, then you fell on your ass, right? That it's okay
Yeah,
to you, that it's
absolutely.
okay, that it's okay to be sitting on your ass a little bit.
Yes, I've been told that, and and I know if I were to give the same advice if I were to talk to someone who had this happen to them, I would say the same thing and say it's okay to be on your ass right now, and you're going to figure it out, and there's things you can do.
Right.
I
So
just
you say
told
you
my
agree cognitively,
yes,
which means that you don't agree emotionally.
right, right,
I think I
yeah.
think there was in this book of Thich Nhat Hanh, he was talking about the three doors of liberation, and one door of liberation was called aimlessness, that you do not try to predict the future or have a specific aim to get somewhere, and just accept what happens in the now and
Yeah.
just act
They
upon
say
it or
they say that
something.
he who never aims never misses.
Yeah.
Right? But but here I think I always like to encourage having aspirations. But there's a big difference between sort of a goal that you absolutely have to reach and an aspiration that, if circumstances allow it, I'll get there, right? So I prefer by far aspirations to those sticky goals that make us angry and frustrated and throw us into misery sometimes when things don't play out the way we had expected. But back to the emotional condition here. They say that you cannot startle a Zen master because they have so little expectations of how the world will unfold in the next few seconds that an explosion is fine, that a monster in a hallway is fine. Anything goes. And so if they get startled, it's so short, it's so tiny that it doesn't even have the time to manifest outwardly. It dies with the thought. Shogyam Trungpa, which I consider my root master, used to say that enlightenment is like jumping out of a plane and then realizing you don't have a chute, and then making that realization you decide to smile all the way down, because even if you didn't, you're gonna die anyway, so what does it change to freak about it, right? And I feel that this is a thought that helps a lot with surrender there, because that's an issue with surrender here. You need to surrender fast to your new situation while you're on your ass, so that when you step up in a different way, committed to possibly the same aspiration, but in a slightly different way, with a slightly different approach now, because you might
I
have
have a few
lost
questions
time.
about what you just said.
Sure.
First of all, that name that you sometimes say about that you see as your own teacher, has he also written books? I'm kind of looking for maybe some other people
Yes,
than
but
Thich Nhat Hanh.
he is a. But be warned, he is one of the most infamous and one of the best teachers of Buddhism there is.
Oh well, I don't.
Shogyam Trungpa came in America during the 70s, and there were drinking scandals and sex scandals and all
Oh, I
kinds of
know.
things associated with him. And that happened because, first of all, it was with the times. Also, he was working with addiction a lot, so he exposed himself to a lot of the things. And also, he was in brand new Tibetan in America, so basically there are many factors, that were at play there. But if you don't consider that and just look at what he wrote, pearls upon pearls, it is one of the best written Dharma I have ever gotten.
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't
And,
mind. I'll keep that in mind. No problem. But
No, I'm just saying it sort of as a forward, because some people, they get into Shogyam Trungpa and then they like it, and then they discover those candles, and after that they feel guilty because it's like listening to Michael Jackson. All of a sudden you learn he was a pedophile, and now you don't want to have enjoyed his music anymore, but you did. Right? So we have to be careful here with gurus and everything. I just wanted to make sure that you don't feel tricked into
Oh,
it.
no, I will not.
But by all means, if you're interested, read what he wrote. Just
Yeah,
again, a doubtful mind.
I'd say send all of us in DM and I can look some maybe material. But I also wanted to ask about surrendering. What's the difference? Because when you talk about surrendering, a lot of people will see surrendering as giving up or defeat, which is a negative tone towards
Okay,
it.
that's a good point. Surrendering means remove your armor. Accept that you can be hurt. Alright? The enemy is there and they are armed up to their teeth. They could hurt you, they could kill you, they could do whatever they want to you. Even knowing this, remove your armor and trust in the process. Trust in life. Right? This is the sense that I'm using surrendering with here, which I would say is also a code of life. Live your life without an armor, accept to be vulnerable, accept that pain is unavoidable, and that Buddhism is not a recipe to not ever suffer. It is just a way to deal with pain a little bit better. Okay? But right now, when the castle has been overtaken already, I guess it's the case with Shrek here, there's no point in resisting anymore. It's time to figure out how we will restart, and we won't fight in the same way anymore. We can't. So is that helping a little bit, Shrek?
Yeah, thank you. I that is what I need to do, and it's funny because even as I take the steps to get on my feet, like applying to new jobs and saving and getting hobbies and making new friends and getting out there and going to the gym, all these healthy things that you do, still emotionally I'm like filled with sadness. Oh, I want this back. I want I don't know what to do. I'm lost. So in a physical way, I am slowly, eventually, kind of starting to get up again. But emotionally, I feel like I've not taken a single step. In a way, and I think it's because I've been unable to surrender emotionally to, okay, this is what's going on now, and you're going to find your way in this new way. The leader of the dance has decided that now's the time to twirl, and you got to twirl with it.
I don't remember exactly which Dharma teacher it was, but I think it was a Zen teacher, and he was saying that a lot of the attachment comes with us identifying with the things. For example, if a cup breaks, well, that's sad, but nobody will lose a day of sleep over that. But if my favorite cup of all time that I have had for 10 years breaks, now that's an entire new story, right? So you might try and explore a little bit there, how much there was this possession, cherishing, occurring also in the mix. Because whatever it is that you lost, I am sure that there are, well, I must be careful there, but chances are that there are more in the world. If it's a job, you can find a job again. If it's a partner, you can probably find a partner again, and a pet as well. I said I want to be careful because obviously if you lose a parent or something like that, they are quite irreplaceable. But even then, it's not the last relationship, the last meaningful relationship of your life that you can craft. So, and I watched a Brazilian movie recently that was quite interesting. Just a sec, Casper, where they were saying sometimes, people and things are dead while we have them. We keep them dead when they're alive, and it's really when they die that we should keep them living as well. So whatever it is that we have lost, it can become a beautiful memory. especially if we feel like we didn't care enough for it while it was alive. It can be there and remain in our memory, and we can be happy that we lived through that without necessarily being attached and wanting it back. They say sometimes that to really love is to let go. Well, if you really want to love what you had, it's also good to let it go. Yes, Casper?
I was what you said about when you lose a father or like certain stuff are not replaceable. I would say that's true indeed. I mean, I lost my father, and because of situations, you could say most of the family are not really acting as family anymore with situations that have happened. And for a long time that I thought that, those things were gone, but I noticed just like for me who know people like me and Carl, that eventually you can actually find people that personify that specific role of family again. And you can either call it family or a father figure or like a brother figure. And they sometimes tend to come back in a different shape and form, and sometimes from a different country all the way on the other side of the world. But it just was a long way of looking and not giving up before finding something similar again. But they're there if you just keep looking. That's the only thing I can say.
That's very wise of you, Casper. I agree also. You know, in Buddhism they advise that you consider that every woman that you meet, because of reincarnation, might have been your mother at one point. But you could
Every
say
person.
also that or your sister, and every man might have been your father or your brother or any person, as you said, Julia. So it's interesting like this, because in the end, no matter what their age is or where they come from, it's just people, just like us. You know, they cry and they get angry and they get fearful, and we need to embrace one another, and we need to learn to embrace ourselves and to comfort ourselves also in times of loss and grief. You might want to have a look at Kubler's Cross research, Shrek, about grief. She teaches about the different stages, and there are helpful strategies there. Maybe you already know about that.
Kubler's Cross?
Kubler-Ross, I think.
Elizabeth Kubler-Ross.
Ross, sorry.
Kubler-Ross. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross.
It's
I'll look that up.
Kubler, Ross.
Kubler. Okay.
Yeah,
Kubler-Ross. Thank you. I'll look that up.
Could we say that it's just about being thankful and pay it forward?
Of course, we could say that. But, you know, that alone requires a lot of wisdom and a lot of surrender. So we need to be respectful of the process as well. Sometimes we just need to sit and take a breath and reconsider things. And I think that should not be rushed. The less it will be rushed, the healthier the new start will be. You know, make sure you go to the bottom of things, and that you're organically, wholesomely solid. And by the way, if you guys had Jarod muted, you can unmute him now. He is awake and he's not snoring anymore, Jarod.
Well, thank God.
So I saw
We
that I was
love you,
keeping
Jarod.
you, and so I was keeping you entertained
It
today.
was hilarious.
All right, you guys, it's getting on the late side.
Well, you too.
Let's share the love through another little meditation session together, and then we can finish our meeting for today. All right, with the bell this time, and I'll make it a silent one, so just use whatever meditation technique you prefer. guess that likes the
Oh,
session
I still
today.
have one thing to say. In
Yes.
case you ever mindful walk or do walking meditation, be forewarned, as I have learned with experience, when you're crossing the roads, cars will not like to wait for you. Better move your ass a little bit faster, because I got some, yeah. I think sometimes I'm a bit too much mindful walking at a slow pace for the cars.
Yeah, well, not just be mindful of the walking, be mindful of the environment as well. It tends to extend your life expectancy.
Oh well, to be fair,
Yeah, by a small point.
it was a crossing road, so it was my ride, so yeah, you know. But all those people, they are way too busy. They don't give no to, you know.
Do you kiss in the earth?
Yeah, well, next time they start using the horn, I'll probably start to walk even slower. Just no, I won't do that.
So Julia, can you join me for dedication?
Sure.
Thank you.
For the benefit of beings without exception, I dedicate, without any reticence whatsoever, all the merit accrued through virtuous acts to the incomparable expanse of totality.
Thank you. Namaste. I bow to all of you.
Namaste.
Take care this week. Thank you for being
Namaste.
here.
Namaste.
And I'll see you next Monday.
Next Monday.
Till next week.
Hey, wait with that until we all left, you know? Not in the temple.